Good morning. My name is Arran Hunt. I'm a partner here at Stace Hammond and I head up the Migration Partners division here. I literally finished recording a new video about 12 or 13 minutes ago just to cover a few areas that people have been asking about, age levels for skilled migrant partners, the visas after the changes last week. And then literally a minute or two later, we got the email from Immigration New Zealand with the updates to the Essential Skills Work Visa and some changes to skilled migrants we weren't expecting. So the previous video has been forgotten about, and I'll redo that video maybe next week or maybe in a few days' time. We'll see how my workload is. And we're going to get straight into the email that I got literally 12 minutes ago. So these have just come out of immigration. They come by email out to immigration lawyers like myself, and I'm going to go through them now. Now, of course, this is not advice. This is me just going through what's in the email. If you want to actually get advice from us, you need to come and contact us directly. We can then look at your situation and advise you. What we cover in these videos is just sort of looking through what's changing and sort of informing you on what the new rules are as they change through these crazy times. Okay, and of course if you like this video, please do tick that like button. It does help us get the message out there, and of course subscribe and tick the little bell icon so that you get notified when we do put out a new video. Okay, changes to the Essential Skills Work Visa. There is three major changes. First one, of course, is ANSCO is gone. That is the major one. ANSCO is the system which you used to have to pick what your job was, how it fit into this arbitrary Australia-New Zealand system of what all jobs must be. It didn't fit into sort of the modern, sort of more fluid work environment where someone might be doing a job that covers multiple areas or might only do sort of part of a job at a larger company. It was very much, you are this job, you must do these tasks. That is gone, and now it will be based purely around what you get paid, the salary, the wage. That is the first one. We'll come to the salary levels in a sec. Next one, of course, is the duration of the visa, which will be affected by that salary. So will the need to go to Ministry of Social Development or WINS to get their labour market test. And actually they've made a change as to the partnership visas attached to it. Actually a change for the better, I think, for most people. So that we'll come to that in a second as well. Now, it's based around the median salary. That has not changed. That's calculated by Statistics New Zealand on a yearly basis. That's currently $25.50 is seen as the median salary. So that is what it's based around. So now, in regards to ANSCO, we will just mention that the employer will still need to try and pick an ANSCO code. When they're filling out the INZ 1113 form, which is what the employer fills out for essential skills, there is an ANSCO box still on there. The employer will need to fill out there what they think is the most suitable code. Now, it won't be judged that if they're wrong, the visa is not granted. It purely is there so that Immigration New Zealand and the government can look at, what sort of roles are being hired for, what ones are perhaps in demand, and sort of this therefore that sort of statistics sort of thing where they're just trying to forecast future demand and what's needed. But otherwise, for the applicants themselves, it is gone. Now, we'll do the duration. So the duration, as we said last week, currently it's sort of you have this 1 year if it's considered low skill. So if the job was considered on the ANSCO, one of the lower skilled jobs, it's a 1 year. If it was a medium skilled job, it's 3 years. If you're earning more than $38.50, it was 5 years. That was the length of the visa. That has now changed. So if you are working on a salary or a wage that is less than $25.50 per hour, then it's 1 year. However, it's currently 6 months. So from last week, 10th of July, through to January 2022, it will only be granted a 6-month visa on those sort of lower paid jobs. For those who are on $25.50 per hour or above, which is basically at or above median wage, it is a 3-year visa. The other thing is that the lower visa, the 6-month one, you're only allowed to get 3 years of those, and then you must have 1 year where you're not in the country to leave the country for a year. With the 3-year visas, those 3-year visas, you can keep on getting them, although hopefully at some point you would move to a skilled migrant residency and get residency. With calculation of the hourly rate, if you are on a salary, then what they do is they will take your salary, so 70,000 per year, they will divide it by the number of hours per week that your employment agreement shows, and then they'll divide that by 52 to get sort of, an hourly rate. Now, if your employment agreement shows an amount that isn't clear of how many hours you do, if it says 40 hours per week, that's fine, they know it's 40 hours. If it sort of says the hours required for the job, then they're going to go, well, that could be anything, and they will actually use a much bigger number to calculate. I mean, they'll divide the salary by a lot more, and you might probably will come under that median wage. So you have to make sure that your employment agreement has sort of set hours, or it has a situation where if you do more hours one week, you can do less the next week, so it balances out, and they can work out how many hours per week you are doing, so they can calculate this hourly rate. It's a very important thing to do with the employment agreement. Come see us and we can help you with getting that drafted correctly. It needs to be clear. It needs to be very, very clear for immigration, and as required under the Employment Relations Act. The other thing is partnerships. Okay, this has changed. Currently, if you are on that 1 year visa, you cannot support a partner whatsoever. Under this is changing, so those who are getting a 3-year visa, who are earning $25.50 per hour or more, can still support a partner and children. So the partner will can get a work visa, the children can get student visas. Those on the 1 year visa or 6-month visa for the next year and a half, they can support a visitor visa for their partners, which is the big change. So currently they cannot support a partner whatsoever. They can support a visitor visa, so the partner can be here on a visitor visa. Of course, the visitor visa does not allow the partner to be here constantly. There is that limit of how many months they can be here in any sort of 18-month period, but it is still definitely an advantage there. So if you were in New Zealand on a job for 6 months, your partner could come and visit on that visitor visa. So that is definitely an added bonus there. So that is the changes for essential skills. Coming through on 27th of July, give us a call or an email if you want us to help you out with your application. Definitely some changes there, but we think changes for the better. I think these are a better approach in how to do essential skills visas. Now, changes to skilled migrant, which we weren't so much expecting. So now Appendix 7 is part of the operational manual. Now we are going to do a video at some point soon on terms, what these sort of immigration terms mean. So operational manual is what they'll also call the instructions. This is what Immigration New Zealand follow. These are the rules that they follow when they're looking at visas. Appendix 7 is because skilled migrant still uses ANSCO, they still match it to a job. So there are jobs which ANSCO will show as being low skilled, so not a skilled role, so not eligible for skilled migrant, because it's the skilled migrant category residency requires the role to be a skilled role. But there's a number of roles there which New Zealand considers to be skilled, but ANSCO, which the Australians are involved with as well, don't consider it to be skilled. Now we already have a few in there. The one we see most often recently is personal care assistant, so you are helping out in a home or hospice, and you're sort of doing that personal care role. You are considered a skilled role where ANSCO doesn't actually state that. So Appendix 7 has these exceptions. So added to the exceptions now is aged or disabled carer, so very similar to that personal care. Nursing support worker, again same sort of area. Driller and bicycle mechanic have now been added. So these are ones which ANSCO itself won't show as being skilled, but Immigration New Zealand considers these as being skilled roles, and they are open to skilled migrant category as long as the other requirements are met. Now these so these are being added on 27th of July. And okay, there are some frequently asked questions which we're going to go through. Okay, so any applications for essential skills which were made before 27th of July will be assessed on the old rules, which is the ANSCO will be the need to match an ANSCO role, so not requiring 2550, it will require a lower, so 2129 to be mid-skilled if it was a skilled role under ANSCO, but it does require the ANSCO match. So the post 27 July is when they basically require the higher salary, but they don't require the ANSCO match. If you have an essential skills work visa for the lower skilled one, which is say the current 1 year visas, and that's sort of due to expire after now, sort of it'll be expiring at some point next year because they've extended them all to next year. You cannot support your partner on a visitor visa. You must have a visitor visa, a work visa under the new rules, the post 27 July rules, to be able to support your partner on a visitor visa if you are on that low skilled visa. So you'll need to apply for a new visa, and of course the new visa will be a 6-month visa. Any visa you hold currently, so if you do hold a mid-skilled visa currently, one of those 3-year visas, and you are being paid below $25.50, you don't have to worry. The rules are in place for when you apply for the visa. So when you apply for a visa, those are the rules that you will be held by. So if you already have a visa or a visa application in place, you will be under the old rules, not the ones from 27 July. There will be no more of the 5-year visas that are currently obtainable if you're earning $38.50 per hour or more. It will just be that under $25.50 and above $25.50. So the 1 year or 6 month currently, or 3 year, just the 2 visa lengths. Of course, when you apply is when your wage will be judged. So you can't sort of apply knowing that you're getting a wage rise in a few months' time. That won't count. It is when you apply is that important. Now, ANSCO is still required for, of course, skilled migrant category. We expect that will at some point hopefully be gotten rid of or toned down to some degree, and they'll be moving to another system. We have heard whispers from inside immigration that that isn't they're looking at, but right now it is still using ANSCO. And so what happens if if at SMC application stage the immigration officer decides the ANSCO code doesn't match despite being accepted at work visa stage? So of course the applications are separate. So the skilled migrant application is separate from a work visa application. So if a work visa application does agree that you met ANSCO, if it was the pre-July 27 system, it doesn't mean that the skilled migrant application will also agree with it. You meet the ANSCO requirements. While the operational manual, the instructions both use that the job must substantially match the tasks as shown in ANSCO, both use that word substantially match or be a substantial match for. They are often applied in different levels of intensity. So work visa, I find that they will be a little bit looser on that, substantial but perhaps not as substantial. With residency, it must be a pretty good match. We see that on a frequent basis, and that's going to change, of course, with the ANSCO no longer being required for essential skills. But yeah, even if you've applied previously or you're applying currently, don't see, hey, I got a work visa for this under this ANSCO code, my skilled migrant should get it. That's not how it works. They will actually apply a higher threshold for it. Do partners get work rights? Yes, they do. If you are on that 3-year over the median salary or at or over the median wage visa, if you're under, the partner can get a visitor rights, but not work rights. Let's look through any more important questions here. So can I apply now for my worker who only has a 1-year visa who is getting paid higher salary, so they get a new 3 years visa? So yes, current visa holders are able to apply for a new visa, providing all required documents, and will be assessed against all current criteria at the time of lodgement. There is no guarantee that a new application will be approved based on the fact that they currently hold a visa. So when you apply for a visa is when they're going to look at what the rules are. So if you're not sure, again, come and talk to us. and I think that was going to be about it. Yes, I think that's going to be probably about it for now. We will put a video out with that I'd recorded earlier. I will re-record it in a few days and provide an update for these rules change or get more clarity. But for now, I think this is probably the more important video to put out there, so people know what's going on and what is changing in the next 12 days. It's only 12 days away before we get to this the post-ANSCO essential skills work visa era. So kia kaha to you all. I hope everything is going well. You're getting through this. One quick note actually I will do now is just a quick explanation as what's happening with the border controls in New Zealand. So as those of you who are overseas or who have family overseas wanting to come to New Zealand will be aware, is that our borders are closed. This is a government option, not an Immigration New Zealand. Immigration New Zealand are the ones who just follow government advice and requirements. So the government has closed those borders, and due to COVID, and for that reason, Immigration New Zealand cannot provide visas without exceptions. That's my other video I've already recorded today, and you'll see in a few days. As to what those exceptions are and how they work. Now, it's actually illegal for Immigration New Zealand to provide a visa that cannot be used. So if the border's closed, they can't grant a visa knowing that the person cannot use it to come into the country. Now, there has been talk about how do we allow work visa holders into this country or student visa holders into the country. The issue we've got right now is that we have a lot of residents and citizens coming back to New Zealand, and the requirement is that we allow them back in, and they have to be in 2 weeks quarantine because New Zealand is very, very serious about keeping the virus out. So they are coming to the country during quarantine, but we're running out of facilities. We are adding more and more hotels to it. We can handle thousands of people in quarantine at a time, but it's still not enough to the number of New Zealanders and residents who are returning. So we're at the point now where Air New Zealand, our national airline, has just cancelled effectively 2 or 3 weeks of flights into the country. They've just stopped taking bookings because the hotels are full. So all those people who are overseas, residents and citizens who want to come back to New Zealand are having to wait for longer because there is just no space in quarantine. What that means for work visa holders or for those who are student visa holders is that we don't have space to allow them to come because, of course, the priority must be with residents and citizens. They have a legal right to come back to the country. It can't be stopped. So we're just sort of trying to taper them off, sort of flatten them out so we can take them all in as fast as we can, as we are adding more facilities and more hotels into the quarantine situation to allow more quarantine people at one time. Once we start seeing the residents and citizens sort of tapering off or coming down in numbers, then they will look at bringing in work visa holders, student visa holders, and opening up a little bit. There will be a cost for doing quarantine. We're pretty certain about that. What that cost is going to be, they're still looking at that. It may be a variety of rates, we're not quite sure. But for now, the priority is going to be residents and citizens, and even as it stands, we just don't have the facilities to take as many of them as there are coming in. So it isn't an anti-migrant thing. We want the migrants to come back in here. The work visa holders, the students, we encouraged that in the past. Right now, it is just the focus is on residents and citizens, of which there is an overwhelming number in other countries, mostly Australia. I think there could be 500,000 in Australia, and with New Zealand being the clean status that we have, we are leaving the world in that. They are coming back to New Zealand, and that is what the delay is. So we are getting through that as fast as we can, building capacity and trying to do it in a safe way for everyone that comes here and people who are already here. So that's this quick rundown of what the situation and what the delay is. I know that many of you are eager to return to New Zealand or eager to come here and study or work here, but right now that is what is causing the delay, and that is what the focus is on, is letting Kiwis come back first, and then we'll be creating space to try and let more work visa holders and people like that coming in. As I said, there is exceptions available. The other video will be out in a few days, but this was the more important video to get done, and hopefully it was informative. I will look through these notes in a bit more detail and hopefully understand them a bit more. This has basically been my first reading of it and give it to you as I read it. And yeah, you'll hear back from us soon. Of course, yes, like this video, subscribe, hit that bell to know that when the next video comes out. And kia kaha, get through this. We are there, and we'll be opening our doors soon, hopefully. All the best.